Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Greetings. How are you today? And welcome to my first show. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. You have tuned in to Shemsu-t, and I am on Master Force. I should have said that differently, but that's okay. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes today, but you'll be with me, right? You'll just work with me, watch me. You can even teach me a few things. I want to shout out to anyone that's joining me today, but I especially want to shout out to my sister queen, Asada, who is just making sure that I am learning and hands on deck, and making sure that I get up to speed on my first show. And, let me remember something that I'm supposed to do. There we go. Okay. So we have a lot in store for you today. I am Shemsu-t. Many people know me by Rita Stewart. However, Shemsu-t is my spiritual name. And it's the name that I use because it means she who follows God in divine essence. Okay, so that just means that I'm learning, just like everybody else, how to listen to the God within. And the more that you say my name, Shemsu-t, the more it becomes real for my life purpose. So that's why I like to use Shemsu-t. However, if you're writing me a check, Rita Stewart is how I cash it. So just remember that. Okay. So this is Thankful Thursday. Every Thursday, we're going to start off looking at 3 places that we can be thankful for. And I know that you're thankful all the time. You're grateful and full of gratitude. But let's just start off this conversation today with being Thankful Thursday. I want to be thankful for my 6 amazing grandchildren. Hey, Kenra. I'm also thankful for my health and wellness. Okay. And then the third thing that I'm thankful for, I am thankful for the Female Solution. Whether you're on this platform with us or not, we do know that the Female Solution can make a huge difference in our community. It can make a huge difference in our families. And so to be a part of the list of people that come to you each week to talk about the things that make a difference in our life, and we want to be able to offer those differences to you, I'm thankful that Female Solution allowed me to have a place to share my voice. Okay? So now, before we get into the topic, our topic this week is going to be raising your vibration. But before we get into that topic, I do want to point a little bit to the cosmic weather that's going on. I don't know if you guys pay attention or not, but do you know that we are just at the end of an Aries full moon? So we're in that Aries Taurus energy, okay? And that Aries Taurus energy, that axle, it represents a lot of things that we need to be focused on. And we need to focus on that during what? The Libra season. So we're looking at our relationships through the Aries and the Taurus axle. Okay? So whatever that is for you, if you have not studied your astrology, I mean deep study of astrology, not the newspaper look at the astrology. Okay, but the deep look at the astrology where someone has actually looked at your natal chart. I'm actually going to do a show on that probably in November. However, that's how you get to know yourself, because you are very divinely and uniquely made. Okay, so just remember that we're coming out of this Aries full moon, So this energy can be a little intense in your relationships. So keep the volume down. Make sure that you're listening to your partner, nurturing your partner, supporting your partner. And that doesn't just mean this is a love mate that you're supporting. This can also be your business partners, your friends, your family members. Okay. So any type of partnership during the Libra season in this Aries Taurus axle, right? We want to get into some serious nurturing of our relationships. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So now we're going to get into the topic that I want to talk about. And that topic is actually called Raise Your Vibration. Okay. So when we raise our vibration, we're actually going to be looking at how to manage ourselves, right? How to actually keep ourselves inside of a space that we are healthy, that we are happy, that we actually know who we are. Okay. Now, everybody does not remember that they have this frequency. Matter of fact, we think that everything is outside of us. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into what it means to raise your vibration, right? Now, if you know who Tesla is, Tesla said, if you want to talk about God, then you have to think about your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. Okay, because they create the vibration that represents the energy of the universe. Now, most of us have not been taught that because we're taught a different way. And that's okay. Keep what you've been taught. I'm just giving you another layer to look through. Okay. We want to look through our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions just for a minute so we can see what does it mean to really raise our vibration. Now, when you look at this chart, you can see that there's vibrational energy. Starts at the bottom and it goes to the top. This bottom frequency is what the people in our society, they want us to stay on a low vibration. Every commercial that you see is to keep you shamed, right? Keep you feeling smaller than yourself, less than who you are. So it doesn't mean that you can't see the commercials, but if you understand that what you're watching is trying to have some type of effect on your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, then you will take more responsibility in how you listen to that information. Okay. Now, many of us, if you grew up in Chicago, we grew up playing the name game. You always signify monkey. You really got tough skin about people calling you names and telling you about yourself. So people who were sensitive, they had to really battle a lot to not be insulted and not be hurt. And as much as people talk about bullying and all that, we have to teach our children how to protect themselves instead of always rushing to protect them, because this is how they get the practice of raising their vibration. If they don't come up to the level of courage, right? Courage is the basic level that you need to get to, right at 200. That will help you to make changes in your life. If you stay in apathy and shame and guilt, that's a victim mentality. And this is how society has been set up to try to rule us into being victims for the rest of our lives and not know that we have divine power within us. But the way that we access that power is through raising our vibration. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further with this because I want to talk about how that vibration actually becomes effective in our life. And it's called the 17-second rule. When you study vibration, frequency, and energy, You know that nothing in the universe is stagnant. It's all moving. Okay? Everything is constantly moving. There's nothing solid. Okay? So the 17-second rule says, and I learned this through Abraham Hicks, right? She says that when you have a negative thought, not just a negative thought, when you have a thought come into your mind, you have 17 seconds to make that thought into an object or into an action, right? So when you have a thought of anger, you have 17 seconds to actually change your mind about that thought or let it go deeper. If you don't change your mind in that first 17 seconds, by observing what's going on, right? If you don't change your thought, then it goes into your aura, right? It goes into your energy field. Now you're starting to, that anger, first it was just a thought or feeling. Now it's going into seething. You feel a little bit worse. You're letting it get deeper. That's the second 17 seconds. Then you go into the third 17 seconds. It goes out into the ethers. Now it's going to ping itself into the universe, into the cosmos, and it's going to find a match to its energy. This is why we tell people, when you're driving and you're arguing with someone or you're allowing yourself to be upset, you're literally attracting the energy of anger to come towards you. And that's what usually causes an accident. All right. And actually, in metaphysics, they say there's no such thing as accidents because most of us know better than to do some of the things that we do. Okay. So 17 seconds. And you might say, well, how do I stop a negative thought? How do I change my mind? We're going to look at the 4 pillars of what I call wealth. And I'm just talking about how you think. And that's inside of knowledge, health, family, and time, because these are your classrooms. Knowledge, and I don't mean how you get information from school and all the certifications, but I want to talk about your knowledge of self. Okay, and we'll go deeper in another show about that. But your knowledge of self is very instrumental in directing you to what your purpose is. To give you an example, most of the time, my son is always saying, what are your credentials, Ma? My credentials are, I'm a Capricorn sun. I am my moon is in Gemini, and I'm Capricorn ascending. And as far as my birth card, I am a Queen of Spades, and I am a King of Club planetary ruling card, which means that knowledge is the one thing that I'm always going to be seeking. And as a Queen of Spades, I'm always going to be teaching and serving. That's what I was born to do. Now, I was doing that even before I knew that I was a Capricorn and a Queen of Spades and a King of Club. So you want to find out if you're actually flowing in your own divine purpose. Okay? You have to have knowledge of self. Another way that you get knowledge of self is through self-healing. And, use your doctors, follow your doctors, but know that your whole body is aligned to your truth about yourself. And every time it gives you a message, it doesn't want you to run out and have somebody fix it. It wants you to sit still and understand what's happening inside you and why it's happening. And that if you created it, you can actually heal it too. But, that's a different conversation too. Go see your doctor, check yourself out, and work with your practitioners for your self-healing, right? And then, of course, proper nutrition is going to be extremely important. And proper nutrition always means high quality food and clean water, okay? So let me see. Now, I want to make sure that, hold on, let me check here. Okay, I want to make sure that I am actually following here. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, when we talk about the difference between knowledge and education, you want to see that knowledge is something that you can always do, always find, always seek. I was talking to a client yesterday and I reminded her of what it was like, and she was about the same age, growing up with the Britannica encyclopedias. If anybody grew up during that time, you remember how much fun it was to grab that encyclopedia and to look up things and to have the plastic covering over the full anatomy of the body. You know, those were things that we had in our home so that we could actually learn on our own and not just at school. And then there's always knowledge is always free. Do you have a library card? If you have a library card, you can actually download audiobooks, movies, tapes, everything on your computer using your library card. Again, making that knowledge freely available. The internet is giving us so much information, podcasts, the YouTube University. There is no reason that you cannot learn or teach yourself something that you would like to know. In this day and age, there's no excuse. Now, with our parents, they didn't have what we had. Okay, so we can't look and say, oh, my mother didn't teach me this or my father didn't teach. They didn't have what we have now. So we cannot blame our parents. We have to be willing to teach ourselves. And then when you look at education, and especially in public schools, that there's specific coursework that is used, and it's mostly indoctrination. It's not teaching you how to be self-sufficient and how to be sovereign and how to start your own business and make sure that you can provide for your family 100 years from now, right? Yes, 100 years from now. That's a whole nother conversation. But your education has to be beyond what you learn in school. I don't care how many degrees you have, PhDs, whatever. You have to learn beyond that because most of that education is indoctrination. Okay, it does not teach you to know yourself. It teaches you to know information and how to research, which is still a good thing. Okay. But we want to look at a deeper sense of knowledge of self. And here we're talking about what is your birth chart. You can find someone or you can go on to Cafe Astrology. You can find your own birth time. You can put in where you live, your time of birth, and it will tell you everything that you need to know. You would be surprised that how many people actually use this information before they do anything. Before they do anything. They do readings. They go and check out stuff, right? One day I'll tell you what I have in this cup. It's so delicious. I'll probably be different that day, though. So you want to look at your personal astrology to have knowledge of self. You can also look at the destiny cards. You can pull up seventhunders.com, seven, the number, thunders with the S.com, and find out from your birthday, what is your card? What is your destiny card? When I found out that I was a Queen of Spades, and I think I was probably in my late 40s, and I was so grateful to find that information out because I thought my life was just completely messed up. When I read about being a Queen of Spades, I realized I was on the path. It's just a rough path. And you can't compare yourself to other people. Everybody has a different path. So when you find out what yours is, then that's what you stick to, or you grow and you become more efficient at it. Okay. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about self-healing, but I do want to tell you that there's a book called Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And she does talk about how your symptoms point to certain emotional and psychological things that could be going on with you, right? And you want to use that information because this is how your soul talks to you. Okay, so Louise Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life. And then there's also The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Now, I have to spend a little bit of time with this. And for those of you who listen to me or have heard me on other podcasts, you know that I have to tell this story because it's part of my initiation into the work, right? When I was 17, I was at a football game. I went through Sabo High School, class of 76, go Panthers. Anyway, I was at a football game and I was watching Luther run the football. And Luther was about to score. He was about to get that touchdown. He was going to get the touchdown. And I'm on the I'm on the top bleacher, right? I'm on the top bleacher and I'm going to run with Luther. I'm literally going to run with Luther. Just run. And as soon as Luther hit the goal, made it across the field goal, I fell through literally the bleacher cracked. I fell right through it and hit the ground. That's when, this was before they had steel. Guys, they weren't always steel. They were wood back in that day. Fell right down. 2 ambulances showed up. And I ended up being in traction for 3 months. 3 months in traction. And I was willing myself to die because I really did think that God had given me a bad deal, bad set of cards, whatever you want to call it. However, after being there for 3 months, one of my teachers, Mr. Baker, brought me some reading material. He brought me a lot of Black magazines, and then he brought me this book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Okay? And he said, I know this book might be too deep for you, but if you read it, it might make a difference. So I actually looked through the table of contents and I pulled out the 3 chapters that were on healing. And that Friday night, I literally started applying everything that it said. And the first thing that it said was, you cannot contact God if you have any anger, bitterness, or resentment in your heart. You can't even reach God. Your heart has to be light as a feather, very light, right? You have to have that energy balance. So when I first read that, I thought, okay, yeah, I can forgive my grandmother for not coming to see me at the hospital. I did all my forgiveness. Then it said you have to forgive life. Well, forgive life. Okay. All right, I can forgive life. Okay, I forgive life for me being in this hospital. Okay. Then it said you had to forgive God. Now that was the hardest one for me because I loved God. And I had no idea that I had a resentment toward God. None at all. So I cried. I really cried. I cried so hard that it was the biggest cleanse that I needed to get. I realized that I had been holding that resentment so close all these years, right? So I then read the next chapter. And the next chapter said, visualization. It says, your mind does not create in words. Your mind creates in symbols. And so the best way to tell your mind what to do is to give it an image to work from. So I needed to have my femur bone because that was the largest bone and the biggest challenge that they were having. The doctors were having a big challenge. Well, they weren't having a big challenge. My body was having a big challenge getting that femur bone to actually come back together. So I imagined 3 little men, snap, crackle, pop. knitting my femur bone back together. And it also said the best time to visualize, to see in your mind the image that you're creating, the best time to do that is when you wake up and before you go to sleep at night, because that's when your subconscious mind can actually take hold when your conscious mind is shut down. So if you've ever been in the hospital, they wake you up every 2 hours or so. So every time they would come in to wake me up, I would go into that visualization. I would see the three little men knitting my bones back together, right? And then I would also visualize the doctor coming in and saying, "Oh, you've healed. It's time to go home." I'm visualizing these things as though they're happening now, right? So finally, Monday, I jump up and I say, "Where's the doctor? I'm ready to go home. Where's the doctor?" And the doctor came later that afternoon and he said, "What's going on? What's happening?" And I said, "Well, I'm ready to go home now." And he showed me the slides. He showed me the actual x-rays from Friday. And he said, "You see this x-ray here?" He said, "You can see you have a clean cut. And we like that clean cut because it means that it can mend better." And then he said, "And you see today?" I said, "Yeah, that looks like there's angel hair around that." He said, "It's not angel hair, it's calcium. And it's woven itself around the opening of that bone, and it's going to knit itself back together." And I said, "Oh, that's snap, crackle, and pop. And I'm thinking I can go home. He said, "No, we're going to have to put you in a body cast. You're going to have to be in that body cast for a year." And I said, "Not a year." He said, "That's okay. Every 8 weeks, we'll take you out and put you in a new one." Well, because of that book, I was able to actually get out of that body cast in 8 weeks. I did not have to do the whole year. And that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, it literally became what I actually used in my academy. I broke that book down into so many lessons that anybody that takes a class, they're going to find out how to develop the power of their mind based on that. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why that book on healing is so important. And now when we talk about health, we really want to get into the conversation of just self-care. What is self-care? What does it mean for you to take care of yourself? And again, we point to the high quality nutrition, and you have to eat your blood type. You have to eat according to your zodiac. And trust me, we're going to get into some of those topics when we bring in Brother Samir. We're going to speak specifically to what those look like, and even detoxing, fasting, and actually recreating your circadian rhythm. Okay, so now why don't we go ahead? We've been working together for a little minute. Why don't we go ahead and take a little break? And when I come back, we will continue our conversation on raising our vibration. Okay, give me a minute here. Let's go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we're now, I gave a little bit of brief on health and wellness. I don't want to go too deep into that because, again, you understand. I'm just reminding you of what you need to be doing. I'm already clear, you get it, but I'm just a reminder of that, okay? So when we talk about high quality nutrition, fruits, vegetables, organic, home cooked, less meat, less sugar. Simple as that. Okay? Simple as that. This does not have to be an expensive food bill at all, especially if you include detoxing and fasting. And I promise you, after 60, you literally don't even have to eat that much. What his name is? Naima says, she says, I'm going through a serious challenge. Oh, everybody's calling me. And I woke up praying that your show would give me an answer. Girl, you have no idea how you've answered my prayers. That's what we do. We are here to walk each other home. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are here for each other, right? We just don't know it. And then let's talk about alkaline water. You have to watch your pH balance because most of the time we are so acidic, we don't even realize how much pain we're putting into our body when we eat certain foods. When we eat sugar, it's just like inflammation being called out. Come on, your joints, everything, right? So you have to learn how to keep that alkaline balance so that you don't get the inflammation. So you can do that by drinking alkaline water, by eating alkaline food. You can put minerals in your water. Sometimes you can put a tea bag in your water so that you're not stripping all of your minerals. But alkaline water is one of the better ways to go. And if you can get away from drinking water out of a bottle, that would even be just as beneficial, not just for you, but for the planet. They do have those alkaline water pitchers. If you live in your own house, they have water tanks that you can hook up, to your house that produces alkaline water. So there are different solutions, but alkaline water. And then the simple one is put a lemon slice in there. Lemon, even though it tastes like it's acidic, it does make your body alkaline when you put it in water. Okay. And then regular exercise. Now, I'm not a person that goes to the gym, but I do walk. I have my rebounder. First thing I do in the morning, get on my rebounder, get my 100 jumps in. And then there's stretching. I have a stretch coach that I work with once a week. And then I get down and do my yoga poses when I'm not working with him. I have my little hand weights. And then I have my vibration plate. Now, if you haven't got a vibration plate, I want you to know you may have not given yourself the treat of the century, okay? I can get on that vibration plate a few times a day, 10 or 15 minutes. But because my work as a coach, I'm sitting on YouTube or on Zoom all day. So when I get up from a 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour client, I make sure that I go and get on my vibration plate because it moves your lymphatic system, right? It moves all of those things that have been stagnant while you were sitting. Your hip flexors, all of that is affected from sitting. So when you get on that vibration plate, it provides an opportunity for you to move. Okay? All right. So make sure you get you some exercise in. Okay? All right. So then we want to talk about detoxing. Detoxing is something that you can do every day, but I also do it 4 times a year with the changing of the season. And this is how you keep from getting sick, right? Because you change over. You make sure that you know the There's certain foods that you eat in the summer that you don't eat in the fall and winter, right? So you have to cleanse, you have to change your palate around. And one way to do that is to actually not eat. Just do a water fast if you can, a 3-day water fast, or just do straight raw vegetables, right? But you want to release the toxins from your body, okay? You want to actually make sure that they get out of your body through elimination. So one way to do that is to drink either lemon water or some other things that you have. You know, there's so many teas out now that you can get. Smooth move. There are a number of different things that you can use to detox and move your body through. I actually drink lemon water every morning, right? I keep it in the refrigerator. Sometimes I drink it throughout the day. I also put diatomaceous earth in my coffee because it gets rid of with your parasites. So there's so many things that you can do just by drinking your liquids. Okay, so detox is very important because we want to keep our body as clear as we possibly can. That's how we get good messages through our intuition. If you have poor nutrition, you probably can't really hear what the universe or what God is saying to you. Just think about that, okay? And that's by design. Our food has been tampered with for that very reason, okay? Now, when you're talking about fasting, you want to just practice taking a break. And it's not just taking a break from eating, but you want to take a break from television. You want to take a break from social media. You want to take a break from people. You want to learn how to have such a sacred space for you and your soul that's the first place you go to when you have to deal with something. Now, this is part of raising your vibration, because what most of us do when we're having a challenge, we want to call somebody. And somebody that we're calling is probably not someone who's on a higher frequency that's going to bring us up, but they're either going to meet us where we are or pull us down. But if you get used to going and sitting with your soul and listening for what your soul, because the blueprint is in you. What we teach in Master Course in our coaching modality, we literally teach our clients, how to listen. We don't want you to keep coming back. We want you to learn how to hear how your soul is communicating. You have the blueprint. We don't have the blueprint, but what we can do is get you to listen. So fasting is a way of doing that, to sit in silence, to pull back from social media, pull back from people, and even to, challenge that addiction that you have with eating. All right. And just tune in to yourself. All right. That's what the fasting is. And then when we want to talk about family, you already know the state of our family in our community. But you want to look at yourself. You want to start with you. And you want to take on, what example am I setting? How am I making a difference for my children, my grandchildren, my nieces and nephews? Each one of us is here to make a difference. It doesn't matter how much money you make, where you live, where you were born and raised. You came here to make a difference. And even if that difference is for one other person, it makes the world better. So you have to start with yourself. You want to start by raising your vibration so that you can see, where does God want me to go make a difference? You probably haven't even thought about where you need to be used. Or you could be so defiant, because defiance is what saved our life in slavery, in all of the different battles we've had to fight, throughout the United States, in our communities, with our communities. Defiance saved us, but now we've gotten so defiant that we can't even hear ourselves. And we certainly can't hear God. And we certainly don't hear each other. We have gotten so defiant that if somebody tell us a lie and we know the truth, our defiance will have us believe that lie because it's what everybody else is believing. So we want to stop and look at what example am I setting? Am I demonstrating growth? Am I demonstrating maturity? Am I showing the people around me that to connect to God, to connect to source is the best way to go instead of always listening to someone else, and especially the news? And then, do you spend time with your family? Are you actually participating with your family? This is something that you want to actually choose. It has to be a choice. It has to be something that you know matters to everyone. I can't tell you enough. I didn't grow up with family. I didn't grow up with anybody trying to figure out where I was. And I was pretty free. That's what I felt like I could do, because nobody really looked for me. And being out on the street, hanging out with the people, that was fun. But it wasn't family. And people in the street are not going to look out for you like family. So you have to put that time in, and especially with your children. And then, do you have a 100-year plan? Do you know with your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, do you know what's going to happen to your lineage when you leave here? We have to start thinking like that. Some people have thought like that and left land and property, and then you have children. I don't want that. Well, okay, if you don't want it, make sure that it's set up so that your children or your children's children can have it. You want to make sure that children are provided for. And that's that last point about family. Leaders are made at home because the children are in our grasp, and we can train them. Not train the way that you would an animal, but they observe us. They see what we do, and that's how they learn. We correct them with love. We participate. That's how they learn. So we want to make sure that our children are safe. This is very important now because you notice that our children are under attack. I don't have to tell you that. You can tell for yourself, okay? So make sure that you are looking after the children. And I don't mean just your children. The neighborhood children still count. I know they weren't raised like us, and you can't do as much as other neighbors used to do. And they was, I'm going to tell your grandmother. But you know what I'm saying. All children matter, not just yours. Okay? You can also start a family business. How many of you have did that? And I mean, it could be as little, especially with the internet. Your children can show you how to start a business. But get something going so that you can teach your children multiple streams of income and not just getting a job. I work with people every day who have been working jobs their entire life. They have no idea what they enjoy doing outside of work. They have no idea what they love about their life because they're always working. We don't want to teach our children to climb that type of ladder. We want them to be free and happy, creative. We want them to contribute to society, not be dragged down by it. Okay? So you have to help your children by helping them to see that there's a vision. We can create a business. We can create vacation money. We can actually decide that we want to create money to donate to somebody. But you want to help your children see what it means to develop finances with you and on your own. even if it's just in a jar where they're saving money that they get for allowance or whatever. I don't like the allowance things because children need to learn how to serve at home, right? I don't need to pay you to clean your room. However, I will pay you if you help me clean out the garage. Big difference, okay? But teach your children how to start a business, and you start one with them as well, okay? And then the last one here is time. How do you increase your time? You increase your time by being truthful about how time is managed. 24 hours in a day, right? 8 of those hours you sleep. 8 of those hours you go to work. Okay, now what? What do you do with the rest? Do you sit around and watch television? What do you do with the rest of your time? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you making sure that you're good physically, like you're exercising, you're getting things done? Now, yeah, if you realize that 8 hours come out of that 12-hour day, you don't have much time to do anything. So why would you want an 8-hour a day job when you have creativity that can give you access to a full day and you just work a few hours out of the day? That's another conversation, and we will look at that because right now we get to create a life that we really want to live and not one that someone else has designed for us. Okay?
Part of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair comes.
Oh. Was that a cue? Was that my cue? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, now you want to also make sure that you get 8 hours of sleep. You know, as you get older, you might need less sleep, but sleep is a very important healing tool. You're going to make sure that you get in that healthy a night's sleep. And you want to get to sleep before 11 o'clock because that's when the body starts to heal. It heals between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So if you go to sleep at midnight, then your adrenal glands, they're not getting refreshed because at 11 o'clock, really all of the melatonin and everything is released from your pituitary gland and it moves down into the rest of your body and telling it what to do. It's telling the adrenals to cleanse the kidneys and everything. But no, it can't do that. Why? Because you're up watching TV, eating popcorn. And the body is designed to take care of itself, but you're up eating popcorn at the time that it's supposed to be taking care of itself. So we want to make sure that we understand that sleep is a priority. It's not a luxury. Okay, it's not a luxury. Just like here, to increase your time, you have to stick to your exercise schedule. You have to make sure that the body moves. If the body doesn't move, it thinks that it's what? Dead. Don't have anything to do. So you have to add time by adding exercise, right? Take vacations. Go and do things that you want to do. Explore life. Don't just do this 9 to 5. I am loving how young people are showing us that life is about joy and fun and adventure, connecting to other people, and then making sure they're okay. We just go to work and just ignore our neighbors, we ignore our family just to go to work. So we want to stop doing that. And then the last one here, be 100% where you are now. In other words, trying to be happy after you get something is not going to get it to you faster. When you raise your vibration, you're literally bringing it into that energy arena that you're seeking. So you want to already feel that experience before it happens. Everything happens on the inside before it manifests on the outside. Okay? So that's how you increase time. Now, your circadian rhythm, the universe has provided directions for us. When the sun comes in, it means it's time to get up. And it doesn't mean it's time to get up and eat. It's time to get up and move the body, exercise, right? And then when is the best time to eat? When the sun is highest in the day. That's why they have what they call lunchtime. When I lived in Iowa, that was dinner time, because dinner was their biggest meal of the day. So they ate their biggest meal right at 12 o'clock, which is perfect because that's when the sun is at its peak. And if you eat a big meal in the afternoon, right, at between 12 and 2, you now have time to digest and use all of that food before you go to bed, right? And again, this is why it's important. And most people say you should not eat 4 hours before you go to sleep. So if your bedtime is 8 p.m., 9 p.m., you shouldn't be eating at 4 and 5 o'clock. You should be done. One way to train your body is to do intermittent fasting. Don't jump up and eat. Don't eat before you go to bed. Let your body rest. And that's another form of detoxing. And again, your sleep habits. I didn't realize until I got older how bad my sleep habits were. That will rob time from you if you do not take care of your sleep habits. Okay? So you want to make sure that you're doing enough of this to give yourself access, right, to your high vibration. Okay? Now, that is what we have for today's show. I want you to know that throughout this time, you're going to get to meet some amazing people and talk about some really exciting topics. And if there's anything in particular you would like me to talk about or share about, or if you've heard something that I mentioned before that you want me to reiterate, please, inbox me, let me know. I'll be glad to, put it in as much as I can. But now I do have my show ready for next week. Excuse me. And for those of you who are familiar with one of our amazing coaches, Dr. Tammy Matthews, Tammy has been traveling the world lately. And she is going to be on our show next Thursday, where we are talking about fit and fabulous with ease and grace. Tammy has completely, excuse me. Tammy has completely decided to focus on her spiritual essence. And so she's not doing a lot of coaching. She's doing other things in her life. And I'm going to let her tell you about those other things. Okay, so you'll be hearing from Tammy next week. And then the following week, we're going to hear from one of our coaches from Puerto Rico, Teresa Lugo. She's the author of the book, The Homeless Mind. She has her coaching practice out in Puerto Rico. And she has been doing tremendous work on so many different levels. And she's going to come and she's going to tell us what she's been up to and give us an idea. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. My producer is like, I'm trying to talk to you. I told you I would make a lot of mistakes today. I get so excited talking, I forget to check the little red circles. I'm sorry, producer. I'm terribly sorry. So we actually have, like I said, Teresa Lugo. And then for the upcoming months, we will have Samir Ali, who's going to talk to us about our high quality nutrition and ways to really tune into that on an individual basis. Dr. Hapi is going to come in and talk to us about the power of our breath. That's one of the first courses that we actually teach in Master Force, is how to breathe. Most people do not breathe properly. So we have to make sure that we get our people, prepared, so to speak. And I don't mean that they're, I think what it is that we're so busy that we forget how important we are as an individual, and we don't take time for ourselves. So I'm going to say that Master Force is going to be that reminder of what it means for you to take care of yourself. And then not only what it means, but we're going to provide solutions, because what do we do as females? We provide solutions. So each week we are going to be giving you a large dose of my favorite pill, and that's the knowledge. That's just what we do, okay? And if you have any comments, any questions, always feel free to post them. I'm sure I will find out where to find them, or the producer will make sure that I see them. So yes, feel free to communicate. And let me see, is there anything else that I need to say? I'm glad to be here. I am so excited to have this opportunity to be a part of the Female Solution. And I look forward to bringing something special to you each Thursday morning at 7 o'clock. Oh, one note that I didn't say, Thursday is my date of birth. I was born on a Thursday, and I try to do all of my presentations, all of my meetings. I try to do everything that I can on Thursday, because that's a high vibration day for me. So that's a little, tip for you. If you know what day of the week you were born on, use the energy of that day to do what you have to do. You'll feel more vitalized and high. I'm just glad to be here with you. Okay. All right. So my name is Shemsu-t, and you've been listening to Master Force with Shemsu-t, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.